Hotep, Hotep, Ma'at and Makaru, I'm in here.
Hotep, this is the bridge in your eye. It's all to far right. Amen. We are here. It's part of our being a part movement. And uh, following up the first part one of being a part, you heard us introduce this concept of being a part, which is something that can be utilized for all types of relationships, all types of organizations, um, all types of movements. The idea of being a part of something, focusing on your being so that you can be an effective part of something, and emphasizing the importance of being a part. One word, a part. Developing, acknowledging, celebrating, loving, honoring this being, so that as you are being a part of a relationship, partnership, organization, movement, you're that much more effective, you're that much more aware, was a word sound I didn't use last time. You are that much more honest with yourself while being a part or whatever. So this is being a part two, where we talk about Analyzer Anonymous and how we got to that concept of Analyzers Anonymous.
Okay. Well, let's back it up a little bit and talk about so let's label this one God versus analyzer and how we got there, and then we'll talk about Analyzers Anonymous. So but let's take it back a little bit further and talk about the being again. um so one of the things, and this is funny, I'm gonna, for those of you who are already there, just take this as a refresher or a reminder. Um, for those of you who may be a new concept, then we'll start from the basics. So when we talk about a being, we are talking about who you are outside of your body, outside of your personality. And generally what happens is we get caught up into one or the two things. Believe it or not, our bodies are amazing, and they actually have a function and a mind of their own. And we think that we control the body, but a lot of times the body controls us. And we can go into some examples. I have a personal example, and actually I don't want to go over it. If you look at one of my What's in Your Womb tapes, here I go,
Yeah,
the tape again. Anyway, whatever, old school, whatever. Tape, it's a
video.
tape. See, wait a minute, video, it's a clip. It's like a YouTube,
It's a video
whatever,
clip.
whatever. Somebody,
YouTube video.
you know what? Somebody put some comments and tell us exactly what this is, because obviously we're dinosaurs, and you talking about some videotape.
I'm sure it's not a tape.
Betamax.
It's not a cassette.
Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. So, if you go back and you look at, I believe it's a What's in Your Womb promo. It will tell you my story about my body and how my body had a mind of its own when I was birthing my children. So, and that's a whole nother story. But most of the time what we get caught up in is being our bodies or being our personalities. And the personality is the tricky thing that a lot of times, we don't want to deal with that one. We don't want to deal with that one, because what are some of the things that we say all the time? Well, shoot, I'm like this. If that was me, I would do A, B, and C. Who are you talking about? You're talking about your personality. You're talking about the person that is really kind of like an in between the body and the soul or the spirit or the being. And sometimes the personality is aligned with the soul. Sometimes the personality is aligned with the body. And so in most cases, when we are talking about ourselves or when we are speaking, we are not necessarily speaking from the being. And when we say being, we are talking about the soul, the highest form of who we are. Because if we lost the body, we lost the personality, we're still beings. Okay? So when we are saying being apart, we are talking about the being, the highest form of ourselves. So, you know, just think on that for a second. Um, so, how this kind of came about was just going through the brain balancing process. Gone through Dr. Joe Pookrum's brain balancing program, and going through the balance, being balanced, and going through the process of having all this access to these new neurons, or having more access to my mind, and still operating out of my old technology instead of accessing those new ones. But those new ones are like over here, like, hey, look at me, and now I can hear them, and now I can, have a little bit more communication with them. I realized something that I was doing. A lot of us call ourselves conscious, aware, enlightened, whatever term we want to put on that. I think the most common term is conscious, and we use that term. And one of the basic guidelines to being conscious is we are all in a effort to get to our higher selves, to get to our God selves, to get to our divine selves, to get to whatever terminology you want to put on it. That is pretty much the precept of being conscious. I don't know how to say. Well, anyway, because I'm talking about myself, so I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about myself, so I'm talking about the process. What I realized was that's not going to get me to where I want to be. The truth of the matter is, I'm already God. I'm already a soul. I'm already conscious. I'm already my divine self. All I have to do is align with it. And by being conscious, I'm on this steady path of trying to get to the higher self. And sometimes, again, like I said, sometimes the personality is in a direct alignment with it. Sometimes it's not. And we can go through years and years of learning lessons, and everything happens for a reason. And my thing was always getting to your core belief. You had to get to that core belief so that you could disperse the energy. And I'm not knocking it, because it was very valuable. But at a certain point, a lot of us, and I know I'm talking, this is resonating with some folks, have reached a plateau as far as that is concerned. We know all the techniques. We understand the lessons. We, whatever. And so we're still just like teetering on that edge of, come on. I had another video that I did on the melanin and emotions. And, there's been a lot of research done on melanin and the power of melanin and what it can do or whatever. And all of us, we know this. And we are just waiting to activate these God genes, and everything. Reality, we already have them. We just have to align with them. And so I'm going to stop speaking for a minute and I was on like I was gone. I was being myself.
How about that? I'm going to jump forward, even though we haven't filled in all of the space yet, to Analyzers Anonymous. Analyzer is the other side of being that God self, or being that highest self, or being that divine self. Whichever word sound you feel most comfortable with. We don't want this to supersede, your religious
Process.
or spiritual doctrine or process. We want it to coincide with how you move forward. Um, we take pride as conscious folks in getting deep. We take pride in seeing the underlying message. We take pride in picking apart that movie and breaking it down. This is what it really is saying. Or looking at that commercial. This is what they really mean when they do this. We take pride in doing that. I take pride in doing that. I enjoy being insightful. I enjoy seeing the connection between what I have learned, what I've been shown, and how I can analyze any given situation and break it down. I enjoy watching people like probably my favorite is Dick Gregory break things down. There's nothing wrong with being in a state of analyzing what's taking place, but there is a balance between recognizing and staying aligned with our highest self versus taking the same time to break down maybe why somebody else isn't representing their higher selves. Um, we spend a lot of time picking each other apart. For instance, we can break down for somebody who is getting a lot of attention or getting a lot of shine. We can go ahead and speak to why, how we knew all along that person really wasn't who they were because we could tell based on whatever we feel good
We
about knowing.
we picked up the energy.
We feel great about knowing.
Right.
We feel great about knowing things. And oftentimes we spend so much time knowing things that we forget to actualize things. So we spend our time propping ourselves up, but not elevating ourselves. Um, we have a habit of breaking down this racist society and identifying all of the different ways um, white supremacy has control over us as a community. And to whatever extent what we're saying is right and exact, we are missing the opportunity, potentially, of working the energy based on the power that we have with our word sound and with our beautiful minds and powerful spirits. We are missing opportunities potentially to make the necessary changes in our respective lives and in the lives of those whom we love and treasure. So we can give examples. Um, let's do a quick example with respect to the shooting in
Which one?
yeah, in Charleston.
Okay. What?
That's not really the one I want to give an example for, but that's fine. I already entered it. There were a lot of theories. There was a lot of rage. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of emotion associated with the lives that were lost. And it was indeed a tragic event. As an analyzer, we might talk about how the church was um, associated with Denmark Vesey, and the energy associated with the day that it took place tied into some other things. What we can also say is we are going to put the energy into the universe that disallows this from happening again. And we are going to visualize and actualize an outcome for the next person who is thinking about doing such a thing. We are going to actualize having them, instead of taking the lives of other people, maybe take their own life. But it's
And instead of um, everybody praying for the forgiveness of that individual who took those lives, take that same energy, because that's a whole lot of melanin. That's a whole lot of neurotransmitters going towards one direction. Which, how many times have we done that and we get the same outcome? Instead of that, all those prayers can be focused on a lot of our own young people out here who are on the wrong path. It doesn't have to be direct. It doesn't have to be direct. There are plenty of young people out here on the wrong path. So at the point something like that happens, it's redirected. We're not getting on the knees and praying for the forgiveness of this person, because something needs to shift. So all of that protection, we're putting all this protection around this person. Well, something needs to shift. There has to be some consequences. Ma'at needs to be able to go through that cycle. Karma needs to be able to go through that cycle, because once there are consequences, then stuff will change. So no, take that same energy, pray for that forgiveness, pray for the forgiveness of the little brother down the street that is on the wrong path. Pray for his forgiveness and help him put some protection around that dude, because he's the next one in line. So we can shift our energy. This society is not as powerful as we think. This is why this is going back to the Analyzers Anonymous. Okay, so I want to do that, but let's give some examples of God versus analyzer.
Let's do that.
Why would we ain't do it my way? No.
Because the clock is ticking, and we don't want to take too much time per session.
Okay. All right.
Well, can we give them something short like this?
Okay.
I told you I spoke with my cousin the other day, and he carries around a stick, and he made a comment about, I wish a police officer would come at me the way they've been coming after my young brothers. And I'm gonna take care of them with this stick on a very basic level. Myself being on the phone with him and everyone who was in the room with him at the time, shut that down, shut that whole energy down, because that wasn't him speaking from his higher self.
Okay.
So we are in the habit of making statements like that. Another one, very simple, everybody can relate to this. This goes back over 30 years, standing on the platform of Halsey Street on the J train line. And one of my friends said, "Yo, this train is never gonna come."
Mm.
We were 15 and 16 at the time, but we were all like, "Yo, chill, don't say that. What you doing?" And he was like, "What? It's not like what I say is gonna impact anything."
Right. So we kind of
Yeah.
know it intrinsically.
Yes.
That it's that we have the ability to guide these things, and part of that is really getting into that God self and remembering that. So how do we do that? We said we was going to talk about Analyzers Anonymous, but now we want to do what we want to do is this little short segments. You get some out of it, and then you move on to the next one. So I say we cut this one,
Yeah,
and
because
then
you talked a lot this time, so.
I had stuff. I had stuff I needed to say. Because I'm being, apart. Remember, you being apart.
So this just sets you up for part 3 of being apart. So stay tuned. Share this. Let's build on this.
Should we do wardrobe changes? Or?
Well, if we're gonna do them back to back, we may be up all night just doing back to back to back. But
all right, whatever. Let's roll with it. All right, see you in the next one. Hotel.
All right, Hotep.